Nice to have you with me here on The Doctor Is In.
You have always been a voice of reason through all of this.
Appreciate your time, what you're doing for America.
I give you advice, and it doesn't work at all.
You are definitely not inept by any means.
I like to hear women say that about me.
Whatever advice you're going to send my way, I am 100% taking it.
I can't tell you what to do. I will not tell you what to do.
Okay. Well, thanks.
That wasn't the answer I wanted.
Are you kidding me?
Great stuff, Dr. Ray. I'm glad I called.
I've scheduled my day around listening to your radio show.
You don't have to laugh so hard.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
You listen to a lot of these hosted talk shows. You hear things like, the only show that does this, the only show that does that. They just kind of hold themselves up as unique in the broadcast world. Well, I can say that too. I am the only show in all of Catholic media who has the broadcast delay in place because of the host. For those of you who don't know what the broadcast delay is, it means there's a mostly 7 seconds is the most common broadcast delay, which is when somebody calls in, says something to you, it doesn't go over the air till 7 seconds later. So if they say something crazy or inappropriate or hostile or nasty in their language, nobody hears it except the host. That's it. Well, I'm proud to say that they told me that the broadcast delay for my show is 24 seconds. I said, why is this? I said, my callers are by and large very sweet people, very appropriate, very faith-filled people. They said, it ain't because of them. We don't know what you're going to say. And I said, well, why not 7 seconds like everybody else? They said, no, because you stretch it beyond 7 seconds. So I guess that makes me one of a kind on Catholic media. This is The Doctor Is In. I'm Dr. Ray Guarendi. I am the doctor who is in. This is Look Back Friday. Take previous calls. Not in their entirety. Sometimes there are places where Andrew Kruchek decides to make them a certain particular length, usually between 4 and 6 minutes. And then I step in today and comment. Make a few observations. It's a bit threatening to listen to yourself. People will tell you that. I don't like the sound of my own voice. Most people would say that. Most people would say, I didn't realize I sound like that because in my own ears I don't sound like that. And then when I hear a recording of me, is that really me? Ooh. Or they'll hear their language structure or their expressions or their little nervous habits. They don't realize they did that. So it's a bit threatening to listen to yourself. Even worse, to see yourself when I catch any kind of clips from the Living Right with Dr. Ray TV show. My response usually is, ew, spelled EWWWW exclamation point. And that ooh isn't because of the audience. It's because I didn't realize I did that, or I didn't realize I sounded like that, or that was a bad choice of words. Whatever. It is said we are our worst critics. It's true. When I listen to these look-back calls, oftentimes I think, I could have said that differently. Or I could have asked this question instead. Or that question took us too far away from the nugget of what the person was calling about. Now again, on this program, I have significant limitations. I'm not going to do therapy here. I'm definitely not going to diagnose. There's just no way that's happening. And for sure, I will not comment on a therapist that someone is seeing. And many times I have to say, you're seeing a therapist, it's something you got to bring up to your therapist. I'm not in a position to second-guess that therapist, even if the person calling says, well, I don't like this about my therapist. Do you think this is appropriate? Well, it's not my place to say here. But I can give some ideas, some options, A little general education. You can do that. There is a cognitive myth, is what I want to call it, that is pretty pervasive. It is this. If you handle a situation well, or you handle a conflict well, or you handle friction with another person well, or you pick the best option, it will work out. Now you can distill all that down to my original sentence, which is, if you handle a situation well, or a person well, it will work out. That's false. If you handle it well, it's more likely it'll work out well. It don't guarantee. Let me draw a parallel I've used, but it's been quite a while. For many, 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 many years, I coached a men's softball team. I had to. It's the only way I'd get to play. And then as I got older, I had to own the league to get to play. And then as I got older, I had to own the field to get to play. Now I'm going to try to distill this down because this is softball lingo, and those of you who know baseball or softball, you'll understand what I'm saying. Those of you who don't, I'll try to explain it. Standard softball game is 7 innings. The bottom of the inning, which is the last half of the inning, the 7th inning, if the team batting goes ahead of you in runs scored, they win. There's nothing you can do about it. The game is over. All they have to do is score one more run than you in that bottom of the 7th inning, even if they're behind. They've got their last chance, bottom of the 7th inning. So it is now the bottom of the 7th inning. The other team is up. We are ahead, 6-5. They've had a couple of hits, and they have men on second and third base. There are 2 outs. You get 3 outs in an inning, and the inning's done for you. But there's 2 outs, so they got one more batter, or maybe more. The guy comes to the plate, and this guy has batted 3 times before in the game. And he's got hits every time he's batted. And these weren't cheapy hits. These were shots. All right, this guy is obviously a very consistent hitter. I call timeout. I go out to my pitcher, and I say, walk him. Deliberately give him a base on balls so that he goes on first base. And in softball, all you have to do is just look at the umpire, wave your hand, kind of like you're waving toward first base, and he has to go down and take first base. Now, why would I do that? Why would I put another guy on base? Now the bases are loaded. That's right. Because that is the move to make, and here's why. The next guy coming up hasn't gotten a hit all game. He's 0 for 3. And a matter of fact, he's kind of showed himself to be a somewhat weak hitter. His outs have been weak outs. A base hit, a single, would likely score the man from third and the man from second. More than likely. They would win 7-6. So what I do is I put a guy on first base. Now the bases are loaded, setting up what is called a force at every base. If there's a ground ball to the infield, all they have to do is flip the ball to the nearest base before the runner gets there. Game over. The smart move to make is set up a force. Otherwise, let's say this guy comes up and there's men on second and third and he hits a ground ball to the second baseman and the second baseman bobbles it. The guy on third doesn't try for home. He's figuring the second baseman is going to come up clean with this ball. He doesn't try for home. Second baseman bobbles it. The guy running to first is fast. He beats it out. So now we got to have another guy bat. So the smart move to make is to load the bases, set up a force, what they call a force, at every base. You don't have to tag the runner. You just step on the bag before he gets there. Game over. So this weak hitter coming up, we pitch to him. He rips a shot right down the left field line. Tough ball to field. Left fielder has to come over on a full run. His momentum is carrying him into foul territory. He turns. He tries to throw home to stop the runner from second base from scoring. Not enough. They win 7-6. Did I make the wrong decision? It didn't work out. We lost. I made the right decision. That is the move to make at that point in the game under those circumstances. I handled it well as a coach. It didn't work out. Had a situation in one family where there was debate within the family on how to deal with a 20-year-old who had done some things rather egregious in the family, and the family was divided on what to do about it. And one of the relatives said, well, okay, you do it your way. We'll see how it works out. We'll see if it was the right way. And I said, no, how it works out and the right way are two different things. You do what is the right thing in your best judgment, and if it doesn't work out, that doesn't mean you blew it. A little more everyday example. Somebody says, this particular friend of mine, this particular relative of mine says a lot of things, just a lot of things, and I've been just kind of ignoring it, and I've been letting it go in one ear and out the other, and I haven't really said anything, but you know what? I'm going to confront him. I'm going to tell him how I feel about this. I'm going to tell him what I think about it. And I'm going to be very charitable about it. I'm going to be very kind about it. I will point it out. So you do that. And they look at you and they nod. And you don't hear from them for 7 months. Did you handle it wrong? Obviously they got defensive. Obviously they were upset. Obviously they said, well, you know what? If that's what you think, I'm not having contact with you. Did you handle it wrong? In your judgment, you thought this was the best way to smooth out this rather ongoing dynamic. You told them. And you told them well. Anybody watching you would have said, oh, you were very kind, very charitable. Were you wrong? Didn't work out, you know. Didn't work out at all. This is very common. When people want to share their thoughts or their feelings with another person about their conduct, and they do it very wisely, very calmly, very charitably, and it only makes the situation worse. Does that mean you shouldn't have done it? No. It just means it didn't work out the way you thought. So don't get confused between right and effective. The right thing to do is often the moral thing to do. It doesn't at all mean you're going to be understood, or that it will work out, or that it will smooth the relationship.
Dr. Ray has more great advice soon. Don't go anywhere.
Today's programming on 990 WTEO is brought to you in part by Gift from Our Day sponsors Paul and Kathy, co-directors of Ann Arbor Sidewalk Advocates for Life. For 11 years, this organization has trained, equipped, and supported team members in sidewalk advocacy to be the hands and feet of Christ, offering loving, life-affirming alternatives to all present at the Ann Arbor Planned Parenthood, hoping to end abortion in our community. Won't you join us? Contact us at saflannarbor@gmail.com or 734-678-2322.
Welcome to an Advanced Dentistry Center family. This is Dr. Metti, and our team strives to treat you like family in a loving and compassionate way as we focus on serving you in a Christ-like manner. We do this by emphasizing prevention and general well-being for a lifetime. Our private practice is small, personal, state-of-the-art, and innovative, with the goal to educate and motivate our patients in improving their oral health. It is through a partnership with you that you will achieve the goals for your smile. Advanced Dentistry is serious about the level of care we provide, with attention to details and an exceptional level of care, skill, and judgment. We are thrilled for the opportunity to serve you.
Dr. Mathy and the team invite you to visit them at advanceddentistrycenter.com or call them at 248-594-9592. That's 248-594-9592. AdvancedDentistryCenter.com.
The doctor is in Ann Arbor. Don't miss this chance to join Dr. Ray's studio audience for tapings of his hit TV show, Living Right with Dr. Ray.
The live audience makes the show.
The tapings are October 28th and 29th. 2 shows each night at 5:30 and 7:15 p.m. All shows are at Russell Video in Ann Arbor, and the cost is free.
Without the audience, there is no show.
Just sign up at AveMariaRadio.net.
Very much would love to see you. I don't know if I handled this right. Our anniversary was just recently, and my wife asked me, she doesn't ask for much, and she said, could you take me one of those fancy restaurants where they make the food right in front of you? You sit there and you just watch them make the food. I thought, okay. So I took her to Subway. Can't believe it. She got upset with me. I thought that's what she asked. Make the food in front of you. I got to read more of those marriage books. Shareen from Illinois has some anxiety about an attack in the past.
I find myself for the last 10 or 11 years living by myself. I'm older. I was attacked in an apartment about two apartments back, and I never connected yet, but what I'm wondering is, you were talking about agoraphobia and a panic attack and anxiety. Could that apply in a reverse order? Because I really am afraid to be alone, and when the sun goes down, I get really nervous.
Of course. When you have that kind of emotional upheaval, and I'm going to make a guess here, Shareen, that was about as intense an experience as you've ever had. Is it safe to say?
Yes.
Okay. So your whole body reacted. You were in protect, defensive mode.
Okay.
You had a fight or flight response, but you couldn't do either. You froze. In essence, you froze.
Yeah.
So because of that, the memory, the wired-in memory of that experience gets kicked off in what you would define as similar circumstances. At night, alone, defenseless, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Now, here's the good news I want to give you. You don't have to be worried about the anxiety reaction. Is it safe to say that when that happens to you, you start to think, what's wrong with me? Will I ever be okay? Am I going to live the rest of my life like this? This is really terrible. How's it going to affect me everywhere else? Safe to say that's the kind of stuff that floats all through your head?
Yes. Without knowing it, yes.
Yes, it is. One of the things you got to do is to replace all that with, now this is going to sound really weird, but it's true. This is just anxiety.
Okay.
That is all it is.
Okay.
It's unpleasant. I don't like it. However, it is not going to hurt me. It will pass, and I will be fine.
Okay.
I suspect there's a phrase, and I didn't get into this with my own experience. There's a phrase called anticipatory anxiety. I would bet, my dear, that as the sun starts to go down, you anticipate what you're going to react like. Here we go again.
Yes, I do.
Sure. And if you could take that away, if I could magically take that away from you, and you wouldn't be worried about here we go again. Instead, you'd say, hey, come on, do your best, give it to me. You would effectively neutralize it, my dear. I know you don't believe that, but that is the way it is.
Okay.
This is not just my opinion. This is backed by hordes of research. Okay. Anxiety fuels itself when you are afraid of it, when you think you're a weirdo, when you anticipate, here it comes again, I'll never be right, I'll never be normal. Heck no, you're perfectly normal. You just got your body reacting because of a memory.
Okay.
You do that, my dear. And I guarantee you're going to be calling me in a month, and you're going to say, Dr. Ray, I love you. You're just so wonderful. You're the sweetest, kindest, smartest guy I've ever known in my life. Well, you might not say that. I'll say it, and then you can agree.
Okay.
Oh, anxiety is so misunderstood. I've got a book coming out on it. The manuscript is done, but the publishing process takes some time. So many points to be made about this. I may carry myself over on this Look Back Friday into the next segment. First thing, the body is equipped with a survival mechanism. That survival mechanism is sometimes called the fight or flight response, and also there is a response called the freeze response. Fight or flight basically is the body juicing itself up, really getting ready. Well, it's a major panic attack is what it is. When you're facing severe danger, some nasty-looking, ugly dog is charging you. He's coming at you, and he looks like he has ill intent. Well, your fight or flight kicks in. What are you going to do? You're going to scream, try to scare him away? You're going to try to run to the nearest tree? Do you look for shelter? Do you try to pick up something? Your whole body is orchestrating this very intense anxiety response. It's what it is. Now, at that point, you wouldn't say, something's wrong with me. I feel so anxious. Something's wrong with me. No, you'd realize that is a perfectly normal reaction. God gave it to you. You can thank God for the anxiety response. It is the gift of fear that we have to have. If we didn't have it, we'd be in a lot of situations that would jeopardize our very survival. Or you get down in a crouch and you figure, this dog's coming, I'm going to kick. I'm going to kick as hard as I can, and I hope I can time my kick just right. You do. All this stuff goes through your head so fast. But your body, within a matter of mere fractions of seconds, kicks into this high gear that says fight, run, defend, survive. Now that's anxiety. The problem becomes for people who have either panic attacks or this kind of unpredictable anxiety surge is that there's no danger. This distress is not caused by any threat to their well-being. I got to talk a lot more about this on the other side. Thank you for joining me on this Doctor Is In, Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Co-production of the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Sometimes I get a lot of requests on where can I find your books. Well, you can find them at the EWTN catalog. You find them on Amazon. You can find them at my website. It's discounted copies, and they are signed. So if you go to drray.com, DRRAY.com, You can see the summaries of all the books there. I think there's 17 or 18 of them. And you can decide. Any one of them look like they might help you out a bit. All right, now, I just finished up a call with Shareen. Well, a replay of a call with Shareen, so I'll recap it. She had a situation where in the past she had a very frightening situation. I'm repeating myself. Frightening experience. And now she lives alone in her place. She has periodic surges of anxiety. And I talked a bit about that. I talked about initially that the body is equipped with a wonderful gift from God called the sympathetic nervous system, which basically kicks in when we're in danger. Our body gets ready. The muscles get more blood. The pupils widen. All kinds of things happen. It's a fabulously orchestrated response in the body, guaranteed to raise the chances of survival. Unfortunately, what happens is that particular response can occur when there is no danger. And that's really the kind of anxiety that perplexes people and scares them, to use a word. What's going wrong with me? And that's what Shareen was thinking. What is wrong with me? Well, she's having these physiological flashbacks, if you will, either because she's thinking about what happened to her, or they can be random. Stuff can be random. That's why a lot of panic attacks, people go, there was no reason for me to have a panic attack. What happened? A lot of times what appears to be random isn't random. I had one many years ago, and it seemed to be random until within a few hours I realized I hadn't eaten for 24 hours. My blood sugar got very, very low, and that can kick that kind of response off in your body. So oftentimes what appears to be random may not be random. You just don't know the underlying cause yet. Danger generally kicks in the fight or flight response. Sympathetic nervous system orchestrates the process. Much of the time, though, when people experience anxiety over situations, over people, there's no danger. There is no danger. There's no threatening dog. There's no tornado within 80 feet of their house. There isn't anything that would indicate you're at risk. You could be dramatically hurt or die. It's not there. So why are they still having this response? In my office, I will sometimes say to a person, can you display to me right now that panic attack you had? Can you do that? Could you just have a panic attack right now for me, please? And they look at me like, what? Why would I do that? That doesn't make any sense. Besides, even if I could, or even if I wanted to, I couldn't. I go, that's right. That's exactly right. Because that came on you unexpectedly. You can't will it when there's no danger. And I said, your last panic attack, are you still having it? Well, no. It ended? Well, yeah. So it does end. Well, yeah. Did you do anything foolish or embarrassing or awkward because of it? No. It's just a really unsettling feeling. Okay? When you don't fear the reaction, when you look at it like, well, I'm going to go sit down, maybe breathe more calmly, little belly breathing there is what the therapists call it. It's going to pass, I know that. It loses its grip on you. It does. If Shareen would completely realize that anxiety sense she has is just kind of a replay of whatever happened to her in the past, and it isn't going to hurt her, it's not going to give her a heart attack, it's not going to make her go crazy, She doesn't have to rush off to the emergency room because she's already had a complete physical and they can't find anything wrong. That anxiety would slowly let go of her. It would. But because so often people say, but that feeling is so distressing, I don't want it. That's understandable. But if you view it as something you're going to float through rather than to fight, it's just like, I grit my teeth and I just gotta fight it. No. I had a dear friend. We were on an ocean cruise together. He and I both were doing some speaking on this cruise. Nice job if you can get it, huh? And he said he had a problem because he had a terrifying fear of elevators. You know, those ships are they're floating cities. Got 15 decks. And the best thing is, the best buffet on the ship was at the top deck. There's no way he's going to walk 14, 15 flights of stairs, double flights of stairs, all the way up there. It's not going to happen. Maybe he should after the buffet, though, burn off a few breadsticks. When I explained to him what his anxiety was on the elevator, and I said, just float with it. Just realize it's not going to hurt you. Just float with it. He accepted that. When he got on that elevator, that same feeling started. The same feeling that has kept him from riding elevators or jumping off at the very next floor because he thought he could make it, but he couldn't. And then he told me later, he said, you know what I did? I welcomed the anxiety. I embraced it. I said, I need to experience this so I can realize it's not going to hurt me and it's going to go away. And I said, don't get off. Don't get off till you get to the floor you're going to. I had one guy's a businessman. He stayed on the elevator for a couple of hours just getting rid of his elevator anxiety. My friend was shocked. He said, I can't believe it worked. I said, yeah, where's my money? He said, you didn't charge me. I said, oh, yeah, that's right, I did. I forgot that. Well, next time I will. Anxiety has that effect on people. It's so something we want to avoid at all costs. And in doing that, we just invite it. We give it power. Anxiety, to be dealt with, needs to have a very heavy so what component to it. Okay, look back Friday here on The Doctor Is In. Let's go to Rose from Missouri. I'll tell you what, this is a definite guilt club. Did your dad commit suicide?
No, thankfully.
Okay.
But he died 33 years ago. It's been a long time. But he was had a brain injury and was defined as mentally ill through the Veterans Association. And he was, ever since I can remember, he would attempt suicide. And I guess my question is, I always tried to understand. I knew that he was a sick man, and I've forgiven him, for all the attempts, even though it caused a lot of havoc in my heart. Anyway, how does a child, like an 8-year-old child, understand? And, how do you help an 8-year-old child understand, when somebody has a knife to his neck and say he's going to cut it and it's all my fault, I don't know how to I don't know what my mom could have done, but she would just say, oh, he does this all the time. He's not going to do it. And so, I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to understand why somebody would actually do that sort of thing.
Got two levels here, Rose. Got two levels. The first level is you trying to figure out why your dad would do this, and I think we'll be able to speculate here shortly. But the other level is, are you over this? In other words, you look back on that and you see it through the eyes of an 8-year-old, maybe a little older. And I'm going to assume, Rose, now you forgive me if I'm wrong, but I'm highly trained to draw these kinds of insights. I'm going to assume you're older than 8.
Older than what?
Than 8 years old?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Oh, I got that. I was a little nervous there because you hesitated, and I'm thinking maybe she isn't. Maybe I jumped to conclusions.
I'm a little hard of hearing.
Oh, I'll talk louder. So given that, does it still affect you, or would you say, no, I'm an adult now, I look back on that, I've forgiven my father, I'm going to move on, but I'm still perplexed as to how he could do that?
No, it's still, a wonderment of just how does a person, and when he was done, when the whole thing was passed by, he just never mentioned it and moved on, and, we lived life, and then, he would get into another fit and do it again.
If I were to give you an explanation, a speculation, not an explanation, do you think it would help?
I guess not.
Oh, I'm hurt.
No, I guess I don't know.
Here's what
I'm
I think.
Just wondering.
Here's what I think. Your dad had a serious brain injury. Now, one of two things you could speculate was a result of that. One, it may have affected his ability to control his emotions and his impulses. That's very common with brain injuries. Two, he may have been miserable because of it. In other words, he saw life as he got ripped off. He couldn't do what he used to be able to do. This brain injury spilled into all kinds of competent areas in his life, and he was, by and large, overall miserable.
Yeah.
Okay. So my speculation has confirmation in your memory. So yeah. I think that in part would explain why he was so prone to keep doing this. When he got miserable, all of a sudden he'd think, I'm going to end it all. And your mother looked at him and said, yeah, okay, he gets that way, but so far he hasn't done it, and I'm going to guess he's not going to do it. All right. I think what really is tormenting you is you are saying to yourself, fathers should not do this to their children. This is cruel. This is emotional abuse. That's what you're thinking, right?
I went through that, yeah.
Okay. Are you past it?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I am.
All right. So we got the explanation that your dad was, for whatever the reasons, a very kind of depressed sort of guy. Mm-hmm. And he also evidenced this in front of his kids. And apparently he didn't think it through, or he didn't want to think it through, or he didn't care to think it through because he didn't think about how this would affect his kids. It was a bad thing to do, really bad thing to do. You're saying, how could he? Well, you can't get inside his head, but you had evidence that he was possibly brain damaged, and you had evidence that he probably didn't care that you guys saw this. You learn certain mega themes being in the world of people, their struggles, their complications, their motivations for 40-plus years like I have. And one of those themes is, I'm really not shocked by much of what people do. Or I can still view it as a sad tragedy, or I can still view it as morally highly wrong. But given a level of evil, or given a level of hurt and pain that they can cause others, it doesn't shock me. I've seen so much of it that I realize that, especially without God guiding our lives, we're capable about anything. Just look at human history. Look at the ungodly amounts of evil, pun intended, in human history. So when Rose was looking at her dad, thinking back, how could he do this? How could someone do this? And part of me, even though I speculated on his motives, part of me says, because he did. Because he did. And so often the question comes up, but if I just knew why, I'd feel better. And I've been at this again long enough to know, for the most part, knowing why doesn't make you feel better. Sometimes it makes you feel worse. Well, Rose, he did it because he didn't like you at all and he wanted to punish you as much as he could. There's the why. Make you feel better? Many people will say, I just wish I knew why I smoked. Well, if you knew why you smoked, would it help you not smoke? No, it's two different things. You know exactly why you smoke, not counting the physiological addiction, but the psychological reasons. Okay, well, let's lay them all out. Okay, quit now. Well, no, that's right. Knowing why doesn't necessarily make something go away. You have to actively decide, I'm going to lay this to rest. People say, but how do you do that? And one of the examples I use, do you think the same way now as you did when you were 16? Well, no. No, I think differently on a lot of things. Well, wait a minute. When you were 16, you were pretty sure of the way you thought about things. Why do you think differently now? Well, over time, I just realized the way I thought didn't make sense, or the way I thought wasn't workable, or the way I thought wasn't good, or the way I thought was hurting me, and I just came to the conclusion through trial and error and experience and mistakes and everything that just wasn't a good way to think. Well, how'd you get rid of it? Well, I just came to the conclusion that it wasn't a good way to think, and I just kept realizing that, and over time it went away. Right. And we can do that with the kinds of things that torment us from 30 years ago. You can look back on it and say, okay, I'm 30 years older now. I can think differently about that and continue to think differently about that until the feelings associated with it ultimately fade. You know, Rose said that she had gotten over this. If she were in my office, I'd explore that a little further. Because on one hand, it sounds like she didn't get over it. She was still wrestling with her dad's thinking and motives for doing something like this repeatedly. I got a feeling that if I would have explored this with Rose, all kinds of interpretations that she had and been carrying with her for years and years and years and years and years were still there and could be uncovered. And that at some level Rose never challenged them. She never said, my poor father was a sadly miserable man. And in his misery, he lashed out. And in his misery, he didn't care who he hurt. I don't suspect that was a feeling or a thought that coursed through her brain regularly until eventually she could lay this to rest. Do you think now the same way you thought when you were 16? How about when you were 25? How about 10 years ago? Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria Mutual Funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
The doctor is in Ann Arbor. Don't miss this chance to join Dr. Ray's studio audience for tapings of his hit TV show, Living Right with Dr. Ray.
The live audience makes the show.
The tapings are October 28th and 29th. 2 shows each night at 5:30 and 7:15 p.m. All shows are at Russell Video in Ann Arbor, and the cost is free.
Without the audience, there is no show.
Just sign up at AveMariaRadio.net.
Very much would love to see you.
This week on Christ is the Answer, we continue Father John's RCIA for Catholics series. Over the years of pastoring a church, Father John noticed that converts to Catholicism always seem to know their newly found faith much better than their cradle Catholic brothers and sisters. So he put together an RCIA for Catholics series. Join us this week as Father John shows us the beauty of the Mass and the prophetic vocation of women. Tune in for Christ is the Answer Monday through Fridays at 11 a.m. on Ave Maria Radio.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
All right, Andrew said, don't let the bumper music play all the way out. He's my on-the-spot boss. He's the producer. Let me read you something from C.S. Lewis. An egg, which came from no bird, is no more natural than a bird which had existed from all eternity. And since the egg to bird to egg sequence leads us to no plausible beginning, is it not reasonable to look for the real origin outside that sequence altogether? Here's where, and now if that was hard to follow, here's where I think it makes it clear. You have to go outside the world of engines into the world of men to find the real originator of the rocket. Right? Rocket didn't make itself. You had to look somewhere outside the rocket world, and you find men. Well, okay, Lewis didn't change his pronouns yet. People. Is it not equally reasonable to look outside nature for the real originator of the natural order? Everything around us has a cause. Either a direct cause or a cause in a sequence. Everything. So where is the cause of the universe? Where is the cause of the natural order that is mathematically a series of rules, if you will, that guide creation? Where's the rule giver? Where's the person who developed that mathematics to make things work the way they work? How is this? Lewis was saying, you got to go outside of the universe to look for the cause of the universe. But that cause has to be something very different from the universe. Because otherwise, then you're just kind of somehow creating the universe on itself. And that is why more young scientists under age 50 believe in God than the older scientists over age 50. Because the more we understand about the scientific world, the more they see this is very hard to explain as just a random sequence of events. And it's very hard to explain given what we believe, we've scientifically established, is the age of the universe. It's not infinite. It had a beginning. In the beginning. Thanks, C.S., for giving me these last couple of minutes. He doesn't call in the show. He doesn't even write me an email. I wish he would. Walk with God, the cause of the universe.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.